hey, this is one of your favorite episodes. It's you guys listen to it the most, and we got the most feedback. So please enjoy
this very best of GymCastic all-star highlight Universal Galactic Champion episode from our archives.
Before we begin, an update. This was recorded in 2023 before the Antwerp World Championships. Simone is now the most decorated gymnast of all time after winning her second medal at the Antwerp World Championships in Belgium in 2023 after we recorded this. Not the first medal. That only tied Latynina at 33. Her second, the all-around medal in Antwerp, that's the one that got her the record. And then obviously she went to the Paris Olympics and blew the record away and has a bazillion medals now.
The beam is not 4 inches wide. Nadia was not the first perfect 10 at an Olympic Games. Clutch your Swarovski pearls, diamonds, crystals, because this is episode 610 for May 8th, 2023, and this is our update, our 5th installment of Gymnastics MythBusters. Welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beep Situation. And let us begin with our 4th installment of Gymnastics MythBusters. We've done 3 previous, and we are going to revisit some old myths to reinforce them so you can tell all your friends, excuse me, that's not true, or yell at the TV. And we have some new information myths to bust for you. You can listen to all 3 previous episodes, of course. They'll be linked in the show notes. But I feel like, sometimes we get new listeners, every new quad, we gain more people. And I feel like, some people don't know all of these important facts. Starting with...
Jessica was like, 2 things we need to... First of all, we have to start with nudity, and then we have to talk about periods. So it's like there might be some new people who haven't heard me talk about nudity and periods.
Right.
So, yeah.
The important thing.
Myth, I guess. So I guess the first myth you want to bust is there's never been naked gymnastics in the modern era before.
At a competition. Right. People never believe me, but yes, there was. The truth is, there was naked gymnastics at the 1974 NCAA Men's Gymnastics Championships. So, this is the story straight from Fred Turoff, who was a coach for 40 years, gave us this info. So Fred said, just before the meet started, a young man walked out on the floor with a stocking on his head, like old-timey bank robbers. He got in the corner, raised his hand, did a round-off flip-flop, back somersault, and ran off the floor with policemen chasing him. I love that there were police on the floor in 1974 for NCAA championships. What was going to happen? I guess naked people is what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But Fred said...
clearly they weren't right there because he was able to do an entire tumbling pass and they didn't, catch him yet. So.
Yeah. And then Fred says he did this on a dare for $100. This is how poor everyone is in college. Well, not anymore with NIL, but so Fred says, he ran behind the stands out into the parking lot where another friend of mine happened to be waiting for him in a van. And the guy ran into the van. He shut the van. As the police came up, my friend with the van said he just saw a naked guy run out of the parking lot. And of course, all the policemen were there. And when the streaker came into the gym to sit down in the stands with all his clothes on, of course, we all stood up and applauded him. The
70s.
Oh, the 70s. People were constantly running around public places naked in the 70s. It was a nonstop thing. Streakers, that's what they did. I guess this still happens in the big sports, the NFLs and the soccers and whatnot. So you guys, nobody believed me because I read it in someone's biography when I was 10, and you thought I made it up.
It made a huge impression on you.
It did. It's so yeah. Okay.
Other myths. But I love that you have now put this into the myth category, that Jessica would like you to know that there was an active ceiling leak onto an apparatus during competition. Is this a myth? Or just you want to talk about it again?
I mean, we have to record this in the myths episode for posterity, for years later when people the FIG would never allow gymnasts to do beam routines on a beam that was being leaked on actively. So we're going to look at what happened. This is if you're a visual listener and you're watching this, you can look at a photograph by our own photographer, Steve Cooper, of a volunteer wiping up the mats at the Liverpool World Championships in 2022. This actually happened, and then there's a video. I asked the U.S. team about it, and they said in their interview that they literally saw the water falling in front of their faces as they were doing their routines. And so, yeah, the truth is there was an active water leak onto an apparatus, and nobody stopped the competition. Yeah, it didn't happen. And all the gymnasts talked about seeing it and talked about being like, and the US team was like, oh yeah, that happened for a second. And I totally, I saw it in front of my face and was like, what is that? And then they all nailed their routines. It did amazing. So I guess practice for any scenario.
Just in case you thought that was a myth from 7 months ago, it was not a myth. It really happened.
Yeah. Hello, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. God, Jessica, are we going to talk about periods yet?
Finally, I thought you'd never ask.
I can't wait.
So, if you wanted to know about like dumb stuff that like is still left over from haters from the olden days, or maybe current coaches that have lots of safe sport, complaints against them are still coaching. The myth that gymnasts don't get their periods. That still is something that's going around. So, according to the NHS, not the NIH, the NHS. Your period will start
the
when
good one, the British one.
Yeah, the British one. I'm not going to cite us. Your periods will start when your body is ready. This is usually between ages 8 and 17, or important, 2 years after your first signs of puberty. So if you don't have your period after like 2 years after your boobs start growing, then you go to your doctor and you're like, hey, is something amiss? Like, am I missing a uterus, or am I overtraining? That is another thing. Am I under fueling my body? Like, am I not eating enough? You never know. Do I have too much stress or have a hormone imbalance? Something like that. The missing uterus. Oh God, I wish that would have happened to me. That would have been amazing. Keep the ovaries, take the uterus. That's what I say. But anywho, you guys, I also want to mention this because Aly Raisman talks about this specifically in her book, Fierce. She says on page 285 of the US copy of Fierce, that she talks about having her period, but her period was really light. And so she got a new medical provider, and they were like, your periods are regular, but we want them to be a real period. And if they're too light, then that's a problem. She was talking about how like she kept having real pain in her shins and she wanted it to go away. So she talks about how she learned that you want your period because the hormones help with your bone density and recovery. And her health person told her to increase her carbs and fats. And as a result, she said in just 3 days, the pain in her shins went away that fast. Of course, she's an elite athlete. She's not a normal human being and all that stuff. But it's one of the things that helped her in her longevity and, making it to another Olympics and being really successful without injuries. So bones need hormones. Hormones, yay, periods help them. So there you go.
Let's talk about height. Another one of our favorite myths, that you have to be short in order to be successful in gymnastics.
Yeah.
What's the truth, Jessica?
The truth is that we have elite and NCAA champions who have come in all shapes and sizes, including, of course,
Rhombus,
we have
triangle, what? All shapes and sizes, rhombus, triangle,
square, yes,
cylinder,
octagons, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Horkina, 5'5", we've always talked about her. But we have the current Olympic bar champion from Belgium, Nina, is 5'7", you guys. Bars, which is often cited as, the one that's a big pain in the ass to do when you're tall.
By Jessica. It's cited as the event that's a big pain in the ass by Jessica.
That's right. So the average height of NCAA all-around champions since we first did this episode is 5'4.5". So that's, it's a little taller than 4'10", which was always the famous size that was cited, Mary Lou and Simone size. And the first gymnast ever to complete the gymnastics trifecta, Olympic, World, NCAA gold medals. If they gave gold medals in NCAA, which they should. 5'7" tall Kyla Ross. Everyone. Also, I want to talk about in this video of David Viseris from Hungary, you can see, because we can't leave out the men, obviously. He's 32, still competing. He's 6'1" and doing his full twisting laid out Kovac. So he's amazing. And watching him, it takes a minute. You always know when he's about to go on high bar because they have to raise the bar. And then he does one of those funky old parquet dismounts where he dismounts. He dismounts by going over the high bar, so it almost looks like he's going to do a release, but then he keeps going, passes the high bar, and lands on the ground. So
you have that moment every time where you're like, oh, he's doing a release. Oh, he's going to fall. Oh, it was a dismount. Every single time, even when you know it's coming.
Yes, exactly. Even when you watched him compete many, many years.
Like thousands of times, and you're like, yes. It was a dismount.
There it is. Okay, so what is we've talked about height over and over, and we're always trying to disprove this myth, but what is a sub-myth that's related to this that you see still persisting, that we need people listening to yell at their friends and family and the TV when they hear this?
To yell at the TV throughout NCAA season, anytime there is a gymnast who is, over 5'3", which is, she has beautiful lines. Her height gives her beautiful lines. And then you're watching it and you're like, which one's that squiggly line? that crooked line? Which lines are you talking about? It's always we always hear that tall means gymnasts, you're not allowed, you have to quit if you start getting too tall. You're not allowed to be too tall. But if you are taller, then that's the only time you get described as beautiful. You have the beautiful form and the beautiful lines because you're taller. And being shorter means you're the powerful one. Also not always true.
Right. Exactly. Let's talk about Simone, who's been the E-score champion every time she's won a world championship all around, except I would say not 2018 in Doha when the Doha Pearl sabotaged her life.
When she was sabotaged by the Pearl. Also, I think Nina was the E-score all-around champion in 2019, I want to say.
That might be. Yeah. I mean, and Simone also had...
Most of the time. Most
of the time. More than... Yeah. Would say, on average, she is the E-score winner. So she clearly has beautiful lines because she is not getting deducted on things like leaps, like some other people. I also wanted to talk about somebody in this video of Ashley Miles. Ashley Miles made she's a new NCAA coach right now. She's 5'7". She made a world team in 2001. She is tall and extremely powerful, not short. She didn't have to be short to be powerful. She is tall and also powerful. Also, one of my favorite gymnasts to watch is Sari Morrison. I always want to say Sari, but I think it's Sari Morrison.
Sari,
yeah, Sari, who went to LSU. She was a U.S. elite, and she went to LSU, and she's 5'9". 5'9", did a fantastic, amazing opening pass on floor, which was a double Arabian. I just loved watching her, and she did all the events. She did vault, she did bars. There was no event that she was too tall to do. She even got a 10 on one of her vaults, which, the things that I think that people don't realize also when you get taller, like Shannon Miller talked about, when she, a grown-ass woman who came back to an Olympic Games, she talked about how she had more power when she was taller. You literally have some more mass, and that helps you with your power. Another person that I want to talk about in this video of Shadilov, Alexander Shadilov, a big favorite of the Gymternet.
A big favorite of this podcast.
Big favorite. He is 6'1". He's from Israel. He is a bronze medalist on floor exercise from 2011, I think. And the thing about him is it did not stop him from being super powerful, as exhibited by his first pass on floor, which was a pike double-double where he did the first two twists in the first flip. So he goes up in the air, double full, and then pulls out a back pike after that. So Shadalov, Israel, shout out to you. So you can be powerful and tall, you can be short and elegant. And like saying lines.
And you can be tall and have bad form.
Right. Terrible
It is
form.
possible.
It's so possible. You can be short and have no power whatsoever. Another myth busted.
Done. We fixed it. Culturally, it's not a problem anymore.
Culturally, it's
We're
done.
never going to hear it again. We did it.
I just feel like when people say like, oh, she has beautiful lines, especially if they're talking about that on a TV broadcast, you need to say what lines mean, which is her joints are in line or his joints line up. That is what you mean by lines. That is what it is. So,
which is not something you're born with. It's that's work. It takes work to have good lines.
And it includes your spine and your ribs and all of that stuff. So it should be explained every time if people talk about that. You guys know how much I love adult gymnastics, so I want to tell you about this new book.
In Broken to Unbreakable, The Comeback I Never Saw Coming, gymnast Lori Volkomer's first spinal fracture ends her dreams, but the second one does the opposite and leads her back to the gym and competition at 49. Her story shows how this sport can surprise you decades later and open a completely new chapter. Olympic medalist Chellsie Memmel calls it a testament to resilience and courage, turning setbacks into comebacks. Get Broken to Unbreakable by Lori Volkomer on Amazon or wherever you buy your books. And remember, you're never too old and it's never too late.
And you can never be old if you do adult gymnastics. That's the real lesson.
Okay, the biggest myth, you guys, I can't even with this. We have an illustration, or if you guys, if you're a visual listener, you can watch this, but I'm going to describe it. The myth is the beam is 4 inches wide. My God.
How dare they? How dare they say such a thing?
What is the beam actually?
10 centimeters.
Right. 10 centimeters, which is just
Close
under
to 4 inches.
it's very close, but it's under 4 inches. There's nothing wrong. You can just say it's 10 centimeters. You don't have to say. So if you take a ruler,
Americans might burst into flames if you mention the metric system. That is, a historical science fact.
See, and if you don't want to say
an American is confronted with the metric system, they just scream, cover their ears, and run out of the room.
It's just under the 3/4 length area of a standard pencil. That's what it is. Under that.
Now you've painted a pin. Now I know exactly.
It's not 4 inches. What if you can't say centimeters? 10 centimeters. It's not. It's like you can just say it's under 4 inches. Just that takes the same amount of like oral energy, right? Like
I'm still on. It's the length of the width of a VHS tape. As we were famously told during the 1996 Olympics.
Which, yeah.
That's it, and it's totally relevant and remains relevant.
Yeah, everybody knows how big a VHS tape is. Okay. Are you ready for the next myth? This is a big one.
I'm so ready.
Most gymnastics fans don't even know that this is a bunch of hooey. Okay, so let's talk about the first perfect 10.
Yeah.
The first perfect 10.
Wasn't it Nadia?
It was not Nadia. The truth is that Nadia was the first female 10 in an Olympic Games, but a man got a 10 in the Olympics before Nadia did, way before. I don't even know if women were allowed to compete back then. So Albert Seguin of France was in the 1924 Olympic Games in Paris, France, and he got a 10 on his compulsory vault. And I am referencing the research. This is known by, I remember when Uncle Tim of gymnastics-history.com, he told me about this along with Blythe Lawrence, and I was like, wait, what? Nadia is not the first perfect 10, and both of them in unison said no. And I was like, what? But I was like, how do I not know this? So yeah, this guy, he did his compulsory vault, which was done on side horse, not long horse back then, because that's when we didn't have the table, we had the horse. Yeah, and he got a 10.
I thought you were going to say it was done on a physical horse, a live animal horse. Because it was 1924.
I think this Olympics was outdoors, so at least it was slippery, if not moving, like an actual horse. But the thing is, you could say like, oh, well, was it like a point system? Was it really a 10? Well, it was, because the scoring explanation back then was it was a If it was a perfect execution, that was a 10. So it still counts.
This, like, not every event had a max 10 at that point. Compulsory vault did.
Right.
So it, like, culturally, getting a 10 wasn't really a thing yet. It wasn't like this notion of like a 10, but he did score a perfect score of 10 on compulsory vault in 1924. But also, you know, try being Nadia, and then maybe people will talk about it.
Yeah. This will come up later and stuff we're going to talk about, but I do want to mention, like, there used to be a lot more Olympic events too, and you have to count all of those because those were in the rules. But yeah, just like Nadia, compulsory 10. That's what he did too. Good old Albert. So when everybody says Nadia was the first fan, you should say the first woman. Good old Albert in 1928, compulsory vault. Has everybody got down what to scream at the TV? I just want to make sure. And scream at friends. Or you can gently tell them. That's a better way to do it. Be like, oh, actually.
I'm surprised Nellie Kim didn't hit this hard. Like, Nadia didn't actually get the first perfect 10, because I feel like that would reinforce her in her insides.
Yes. To ask her about that. Okay, so this one is very upsetting, Spencer. The myth that Shannon Miller has 2 skills in the code of points.
That there's such a thing as a Miller? Yeah.
Yeah.
So currently, there are no Millers in the code of points. There was, sadly, never a beam Miller. Not the fault of Shannon's, but she never got credit for the submitted skill. Her intended Miller that we were told in many TV broadcasts was the Miller. On beam, the back handspring quarter immediate half pirouette, because the way it was described when they submitted it was a hop half turn, but she doesn't do a hop.
Oh,
which would have been awesome. Hop would have been great. Would have loved it, but she didn't do a hop. So they were like, you submitted a skill that you didn't do. You just, as we're seeing now visually, did a half pirouette on the beam. So that was never the Miller. She did have a bar skill at one point, which was a cast 1.5 to finish in mixed grip, but heaven forbid it didn't end in a handstand. She cast to handstand and then did a 1.5 kind of on the way down. And so modern women's technical committee was like, it didn't end in a handstand. Boo! We have to remove it immediately. So that's not in the code anymore. Other lies we were told that she had the hop full on bars named after herself, which that's Chuso. That's the Chuso Vitino.
Right. That's the thing. Chuso did it in 91. Miller did it later. Oh, you guys, so many lies. I mean, maybe we need to start a whole thing where we go through old broadcasts and correct them. Or current broadcasts.
That's a full-time job.
That is a full-time job. We don't have time for that. My question for you is, whose fault is this? Was it Peggy Liddick or Steve Nuno who submitted the wrong description of the skill for Shannon?
Can't it be everyone's fault? Why does one person have to be at fault?
Oh, fine. All right. I want to talk about skills versus the code. Because we have referenced many times skills that were in the code that were then taken out. But like Shannon Miller's, like, they were never in the first place. So I want to know, what are the actual skills that were in the code and then disappeared, or were given to the wrong people, or what happened? And let's start with beam.
Start and end with beam, because it's our event. It's the only one we're going to talk about probably. Okay, so I do have something that I think you will enjoy quite tremendously right now, which I'm calling the myth of the candle mount. Because famously, if you don't take notes during every episode, Jessica does not care for the requirement or semi-requirement on the candle mount, which is the back dive mount on beam that everyone does now, that you have to be in handstand, or that we're using the term candle, even though gymnasts are not candles, they're humans. It just bothers Jessica in many respects. So
nobody knows what that shape is outside of the sport. It's a back dive. Everyone knows what a backwards dive. Everybody knows what that is.
Well, I have some good news for you on this front. Okay, so when the skill
I want to see this.
When the skill was originated, Ramona Buch's 2007 Worlds. Well, let's just say originated. When it was named and entered into the Code of Points. Because every skill was done by someone else at some point. But 2007 Worlds, the description of the skill as submitted at this point was from standing with back toward the beam, flick-flack over the beam to land in front support. And I would say that's what she's doing here.
Yeah. But you don't require, there's no requirement for you to stop and show your hands.
This is exactly what I'm saying.
All right, tell me.
That the word candle, the word handstand appears nowhere in the skill.
Exactly.
She didn't submit that. She didn't perform it. She didn't try to perform it. She didn't submit it. That's not how it was described. The word candle was not added to the description of this skill until the 2013 code update, 6 years after she performed it and got it named after herself and entered in the code. Then in the 2017 code update, they were moving things around and changing things and trying to fix things. They misattributed a different skill to Buchs. They just gave her a mount she never even did because the code, and they make these mistakes all the time, and they still misspelled Chellsie Memmel. They fixed that in 2022 and gave her back the skill she actually did. But now the description had the candle position requirement in it, which she never did or tried to do and wasn't her skill. So now the Buchs in the Code of Points is, a back dive to candle position, even though that's not the skill. And they just added that later. It's not the skill she did. And that's kind of like, that's not what the skill is what I'm saying. I thought you would enjoy the story.
I enjoy that story.
Vindicate
Very
your
much.
hatred of the candle requirement because it's fake, basically.
Yes. Oh my God. This is an excellent MythBusters, Spencer.
I know, that's why I said, you started arguing. And
I
was like, no, you're going to love where I'm going with this. You're going to love it.
Yeah. I love that one. So, okay, so
what we're saying is every time I say, oh, she didn't really hit handstand to that candle mount and I want to deduct for it, you could be like, bah, 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 bah. You don't have to. You don't have to. That's not how it was.
Because she never did it. That's right. I mean, it's kind of cool when people hold it and then they do a little pose. But if you just hold it and then go to front support, that's boring. And don't be boring. That's the most important thing. And also, if someone's going to do that mount and you have time to plan for it, like an NCAA championships where you know every single routine, show it from the side, not straight on. I mean, long ways. Show it long ways is a more interesting way to see it. And scarier if you watch it that way, which is important to get people to understand how terrifying it is to jump backwards. And that explains why gymnasts always look behind them to make sure the beam is still there, because you never know. Okay. Next, the myth of the Onodi is one of the most upsetting myths. And will this ever change? That's what I'm going to. Okay, so what is the myth of the Onodi and what is the truth?
The myth of the Onodi is the word Onodi is describing the skill as an Onodi, because Olga Mostepanova, perhaps the greatest gymnast of all time, performed this skill at Worlds in 1983, and it's perfect. And at that point in 1983, Onodi was 9 years old. And even in the 80s, we didn't have people competing at 9 at Worlds.
At 10, at 12, at 11.
10, maybe 10. Maybe at 10.
Yeah.
So this was years and years before, 6 years before Onodi performed it. Olga Mostepanova was doing it at Worlds, nameable competition, and also, doing it better than anyone else has ever done it, even to this day. And we don't call it the Mostepanova, even though we should.
And the other thing about it is she literally is doing it she does a press, handstand mount, split, handstand, pirouette, turn, step down, and then does the Onodi out of a series. She does a series. You know how hard it is? I mean, that's why we talk about it so much time, because there are very few people who do an Onodi in a series right now. There's a gymnast that does it in NCAA. It's so hard to do it like that. So not only was she doing it when Onodi was still in grade school, she did it so well and in a series. So, yeah. So are we going to start calling him Mostepanova? Are they going to
should try
I should learn how to say it with the right accent.
Okay, my next question for you, Jessica. What is the Liukin in women's artistic gymnastics?
In women's, it's when your dad does a triple back on floor.
No, in women's artistic gymnastics. It
is a front chicken dump to scale. A front toss, a front tuck that starts, let me describe this. It looks like it's going to be a front aerial and beam, but then fakey, you tuck, land on one leg, don't touch the other leg, and do an arabesque. It's not a scale, it's an arabesque. But it's not a skill. Was it ever a skill?
Your description is 100% accurate, and now I'm going to talk about what to reality. You just reflected reality, and now I'm going to talk about what the code says, which is not reality.
Okay.
So for a time, and this is sort of famously discussed, and this is the accurate part of it, which is taking it to scale for a time was the Liukin. And then shortly afterward, the Women's Technical Committee decided that going to scale or going to arabesque was another skill. That was a separate thing, independent of the skill. But what ended up happening was, in 2008, the code described the Liukin as a front salto piked with takeoff from one foot to scale.
Oh.
Which I have a problem with, because piked? I don't see a pike.
No.
I never saw a pike. So that's weird. And then they got rid of the scale part, because they said that's two separate elements that you're doing. So now the Liukin in women's artistic gymnastics is a salto forward tuck, take off from one leg to stand on one leg or two. So a kick over front is named after Nastia Liukin. She invented it, you guys. She was the first one to do it, if you didn't know.
That skill has been done for like 30 years. Before Nastia did it. That's so weird. Oh my God. There's so many things that need to be fixed in the code, you guys. Okay. So the next one.
Yeah, I have another thing, because
featuring my favorite gymnast ever in the whole entire world.
Right. In the code, as much as we criticize it, and as much as many problems as there still are with the named skill section of the women's code, they're trying to fix it, and they've made some rectifications and some improvements.
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's like the theme of the podcast over the last couple of years. We still have 90,000 problems, but there are a couple things that are getting better. There were a bunch of leaps, like turning split leaps on floor, that were named after people, and then those names were mysteriously removed a couple decades ago. But they're still popularly known by those names, like split leap 1.5 on floor, or tour jeté full on floor. You'll often hear referred to as a Gogin, after Gina Gogin. For a long time, her name was not in the code of points for that skill. But it was returned in the 2022 update. So Gogin got that skill back. Protonova got back the split leap full to sit split greatness, which it's in the code of points, people. It's there. It has a value. Do it. Please.
Yes,
please. I mean, for your own health and safety, maybe don't do it, but for us, please do it.
It's so cool.
While those have been returned, Kerri Strug's split leap full, or tour jeté half, still is not called the Strug in the code of points, even though others have had their names returned. So I'm like, Kerri, complain.
Kerri, you were in government. It's your time. Yeah. You know how to make a complaint, get it done. Like, do all the paperwork. Kerri, get in touch. We can help you with this. Let's return. This is the other theme of this. Get in touch so we can help you fix the code, because they are retroactively fixing things like you're talking about, and it is happening. And I think that's such a great thing. So we should celebrate. We can have another Kerri Strug Day when that happens. I'm sure she has a day named after her somewhere, like in Arizona or something.
What we have to figure out is whether there's evidence of other people at a world championships doing it before. But then still that's its own inconsistency because there are thousands of these skills like the Onodi where there's evidence of people doing them before and they're still, it's still the Onodi.
True. All right. The greatest myth of all.
Uh-huh.
That the International Gymnastics Federation, the FIG, likes gymnastics. True or false?
Oh, you silly goose. No, we're going to bust that myth because there are a bunch of fun skills that are good gymnastics that were in the code of points that are not in the code of points anymore or are half in the code of points but don't have a value, like the Portacarrero, which we should look at now for visual listeners, which I enjoy tremendously. Kick over front to tuck sit with the leg extended, which is still in the named skill section, but does not have a skill number or a value. Also for Yves-Marie Poulin from Canada, who did the same thing but from a front tuck, not a kick over front, gone completely. No evidence of her name at all in the code of points, which is, come on, let's bring it back.
You know who could do this and it would be amazing is Ellie Black. Because you know how she does her powerlifting and has quads and a butt of steel. And remember how that time at like Pan Am Championships or Games or something, she did a front tuck, landed on a pinky toe, and did a very slow single leg squat and just stood right up and continued with her.
I do.
Routine. It's my favorite thing she's ever done. But she's very good, nice, and wins a lot of things too. But also,
yeah, but this is the most important.
But that's the most important thing: quad and butt strength. So, I mean, think about her doing this skill. She could do it either way, and she would land and slowly descend down into a sitting position, not like like a butt sit.
Kind of fall.
It looks like an accident kind of fall.
Kind of almost fall, but it's still really cool. This is the next. Should this be the next Chellsie Memmel challenge?
Yes.
Show up to national team camp and be like, I'm going to do this. Now, all of you gymnasts that I'm selecting for teams, you can do your basic ass beam routines, and I'll just sit over here and be like, look what I just did.
Oh my God, Chellsie is the other person. She could probably do it on a high bar too, but don't do it on the high bar like you've done your other pistol squats. Please, just do it on beam, Chellsie. Oh, that'd be so cool. And then you could transition if you must do an ugly ass wolf turn, just half turn, and then you're wolf turn position. Oh my God, I figured out everybody's wolf transition.
Mm-hmm. That'd be good. You're right there.
About this.
This show is brought to you by all the vitamins and minerals that I've been trying to force feed Spencer for years. But now there's Huel's Daily Greens ready to drink, which are so convenient for Spencer to just drink while he
probably makes some fantasy lineups for our fantasy game for various teams so I can tell the coaches that they picked the wrong athletes and other things I enjoy doing.
Huel just launched the Daily Greens ready to drink at Target. And now I can make sure that Spencer's getting all of his essential vitamins and minerals and greens every day while he's in his lab creating the perfect teams. I mean, Cecile did tell us on the live show that we're supposed to send her all of our ideas. And my idea was 100% Jeffrey Scott. That's the team, Jeffrey Scott. So this was developed by registered dietitians and nutritionists. It comes in blueberry, apple, and peach flavor. Which one is your favorite, Spencer?
The peach one is my go-to. The peach and hibiscus.
Yeah. I don't even have to force him to drink that.
No.
He actually does it on his own. It has 42 vitamins and minerals and superfoods. And it has bubbles. You guys, bubbles. You know how I feel about bubbles. Only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, only 1 gram of sugar with electrolytes. So Spencer has all of the energy to GIF all the accidents and trips and falls that happened during all of the meets for his recaps.
Huel makes Huel makes eating, is what I was about to say. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try Huel today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with our exclusive code GymCastic at huel.com/GymCastic. Use our code and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support the show.
Okay.
Also, I want to say...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say...
next topic.
Larissa Libby our favorite Iowa head coach, who also fell into a plant, according to her teammate, Stella Ume, at a competition that got hurt, and Stella had to help her out of the plant and into a taxi. She told that story on the podcast. We could link to the episode. Larissa Libby, she has also suffered injustice.
Yes, she has suffered injustice at the hands of the Women's Technical Committee because she has a mount had a mount, an eponymous mount on beam that was later combined with another skill from Janine Rankin, which is its own excellent skill. The Rankin is the jump to one-armed press handstand on beam.
Where you hop around in a circle, that one?
You just jump and then you're in it, and it's excellent. But it's completely different than Larissa Libby's skill, which is a press handstand lower. It has one arm elements to it, but we'll watch it right now if you're watching. It's the press handstand, go to one arm in your angled split.
One arm handstand.
And then lower.
Yeah.
To a straddle and then sit. Completely different, but it's combined in the code with another mount, the Rankin, and then it's just named the Rankin.
Why? I always thought that was named after, she does a jump to handstand instead of the press to handstand on the end of the beam and then steps down. Totally different skills.
It's a totally different skill. They're in the same box, and it wouldn't be the Libby, it would be the Lowing, Larissa Lowing, her maiden name, is nowhere to be found.
This is unacceptable. We also need this fixed. Although I do feel like somebody did this before both of them.
Well, I'm sure. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
but,
remember the same gymnast that did her mount was a jump to a headstand with no hands balance, and she also did the jump around full. She did a one arm handstand and then jumped around in a circle, and did a pirouette, but it was all hopping on one hand. And basically, I feel like they were like, "This is too circus. It's amazing, but too circus. So we're gonna skip it." But this is why a full head spin needs to be added, because that would fulfill the new requirements for a turn on beam. And so someone who doesn't care about having a lot of hair on their head or needs to only practice it once a week needs to add or wear a little situation on your head. One of those things like those, the synchronized swimmers wear. They have those little head situations.
Wear a little situation on your head.
It's like a tiny boop to keep your hair in place. That thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have to fix that. So far, it's not looking like the FIG likes gymnastics. What happened to...
They keep removing all of the cool or vaguely interesting skills, like the Marty, which is another skill that I enjoy quite a bit on bars, which was a skill for a hot second, where you cast a handstand on the low bar and then do an immediate front salto to catch the high bar.
I love that. It's so fun. It's such a cool skill. And honestly, it looks easier than a hecht. A hecht is definitely way harder than that.
I'm not saying it has to be super high value. Just let's see it.
Yeah. That's at least a B.
I'm good with C.
Yeah. I mean, a C would be nice, but let's be honest. Maybe in level 10, they would do that. But
what if you did it as a mount? Run, approach the low bar.
Ooh, that's cool.
Get to handstand and then almost like you're rebounding off the low bar.
So you jump forward, jump to handstand, bounce off, and do it. Then I can get a C. Yeah, I like that.
What if you do it with then you add a full twist like the Gabishian, and then you can get a D, right?
Yes. I like that because that is one of our favorite mounts. It's so cool. And then you kiss the high bar. Someone should do it again, get it named, and then kiss the bar. That's what everybody knows. This is very important. If you don't kiss the apparatus, it's bad luck. Okay. I want to get to something that I didn't remember was a myth until you put it in the notes.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm going to say the myth.
What is the myth?
The myth, as reinforced by the medal stand at the 2005 World Championships, that Chellsie Memmel beat Nastia Liukin in the 2005 World Championships all around. Because the standings say that Chellsie Memmel finished on a 37.824 and Nastia Liukin finished on a 37.823. In actuality, that was just a result of how the scores were displayed on each apparatus, because they truncate decimal places, my biggest pet peeve, at 3 decimal places. So they don't display the whole score with all 4, in this case, decimal places. And if you just added the whole scores, both gymnasts would have received a 37.825 and would have tied for the 2005 World All-Around title, which is what they actually did. Their actual scores that they received tied. They just didn't display the full score. They stopped at 3 decimal places for each event score, so it ended up looking like Chellsie Memmel was 1,000th of a point ahead of Nastia Liukin, even though she wasn't. They should have tied.
I mean, this is the thing about, you've talked about the problems with truncating.
Yes,
a lot.
Which we just had in Oceanic World Championship qualification. It happened again.
Right. And are you surprised that no one has taken action over this? That no one, that Chellsie Memmel hasn't been hey, that's not fair. You're truncating.
Well, it benefited Chellsie, so why would she? But I feel like the Liukins have been frequently the victims of dumb FIG score rules.
Yes.
So,
the whole family.
I'm surprised that the Liukins have not taken action to get something done about this, because I feel like they could.
Yeah.
Or could have. People would have listened.
Yeah. This is why it's so important to always have somebody actually following the real scores, either on the floor or in the stands, who can yell down or message someone on their phone watch, since you're allowed to have your phone watches on, your Apple Watch, and be put in an inquiry before this changes because the score is truncated and you actually tied.
Well, that's not something you could inquire, because this is just the rules of how they do it. Just the rules are bad.
Threaten.
It's worse now because they do stupid dividing by 3 judges. So we end up with your 0.333 repeating, 0.666 repeating, which is a disaster.
Yeah. This is not good. Okay. So that's another thing we need to change. Is this a MythBusters or a how sports are broken show?
Well, I feel like every episode we do kind of devolves into everything's broken and needs to change.
This is why I don't pay attention to scores and I just enjoy the gymnastics. That is really the lesson.
You need someone to, otherwise we end up with incorrect winners.
Yes, that's true. That's right. Literally incorrect winners. Or a missing tie when there should have been a tie, for crying out loud. The best thing ever. Ties. 2015 Worlds. The best 2017 Worlds.
God.
The best bars finish of all time. When everybody figured out.
The one you mean with
was it 2015? Scotland?
The Glasgow 4-way tie. Yeah.
Okay,
so Jessica, we talked about height. We talked about puberty. But I noticed that you have not talked about age yet.
No. And we are going to talk about age in a moment. Okay. But before we do,
we'll be right back after this. You might be interested in knowing that this show is brought to you by Club Gym Nerd. If you have not already, you can join Club Gym Nerd and get special bonuses like our extra podcast that we do on Fridays every single week, where we tell stories from Jessica's life and then I react to them. And I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? You can listen to us do that. You can watch us do that. You get all of the bonus club content, and you can add those behind the scenes to your favorite podcast player. You get exclusive, extended interview bonusing things when that happens, discounts on merchandise, discount on live show tickets. You can do a rage-o-meter or a passion-o-meter. If you're not a mad person, if you're not full of anger in your inner soul like I am, you could just have a passion-o-meter where you make Jessica yell about something you feel passionate about, and then you can have audio of Jessica yelling about it, even if she doesn't actually think that, and then you have that for blackmail purposes for the rest of time. It's excellent. So check out the Support Us tab at gymcastic.com to join the club. And we're back.
Our first myth having to do with age is for female gymnasts. You've heard your friends say, or you're the boomers in your life. Their career is over. After high school, that's it. They can't do gymnastics anymore, right? Like, they can't go to an Olympics or World Championships.
But I've watched college gymnastics, Jessica.
So let's talk about how many college gymnasts have made world or Olympic teams or won medals or made finals in college or post-college even. So we have some new people to add to this list. And shout out to College Gym News, who has a nice list up. It's not totally updated, but it's a great list. And now I don't have to keep one because they do. So we're looking at their website right now. So Skinner, after Utah, went on to win Olympic vault medal. And thank God that she did that and didn't go home afterwards. Also, Mohini Bhardwaj, post-college Olympic medalist in 2004. Kate Richardson from Canada also made the Olympic floor final. Shannon Olsen, most recently from Canada, made an Olympic team. And then during college, a world team and won a medal for Canada. Post-college recently, Simona Castro from Chile, Jorge Garbajian from Romania, we already talked about, who then got an eponymous skill and kissed the bars and made all the news. She went to Iowa. Jessica Lopez from Venezuela went to Denver. Brittany Rogers was going back and forth from Georgia to Canada to do her trials at the same time, made that Olympic team, and then all the way back to Kelly Garrison, Kelly Garrison Steves, Kelly Garrison Funderbook. Kelly Garrison went to Oklahoma, invented all the skills that involve some version of a Valdez, sideways, full twisting on beam, full twisting beam mount, and made the 88 Olympic team. So I think I rest my case. So this is, memorize this list and just shout it at people when they say you can't make an Olympic team after high school. They can't do gymnastics anymore, right?
Or next year, because we're a year out from the Olympics, you guys, when we get the Olympic gymnastics articles, and they say things like, Olympic gymnastics, the domain of teenagers. And you're like, what are we, do you need some numbers sent to you? Because we've got them. Because that's not super right.
Exactly. So let's talk about some of the longevity legends. And I know these are kind of outliers, but there's still a lot of gymnasts who are competing in their late 20s, like Vasiliki Malusi, Marta Pihankaleja, and so the myth is, after you're in high school, you can't do gymnastics. After college, you're definitely done. But let's talk about the legend of Chusavitna, who since our last update of MythBusters now has gone to 8 Olympic Games. 8 Olympic Games. She last competed at age 46 at a World Cup. Or was that at that Olympics she was 46? She's older now. Yeah, she's like 48 now. So at the Tokyo Olympics, when there's a big standing ovation and she retired, and then she unretired 5 minutes later. But according to the medal counts research, thank you for this, the oldest woman to compete in Olympic Games before Chuso was in gymnastics. Yeah, not in all the sports, but in gymnastics.
It's like those equestrians are like,
oh my God,
half in the grave.
Right. Queenie Judd, 1928 Olympics. So they did have women in the 1920s doing gymnastics. And she was 41. So that is, so she just made the cut for the oldest at 41. And then, of course, we can't forget Jordan Yochev, who famously at the end there competed for Bulgaria only worked out for 45 minutes is what he said he did. He just got in, did his conditioning, did his routine, left the gym. 6 consecutive Olympic Games. Robbed on rings in Athens, as we all know, but great rings worker. 4 Olympic medals, 13 world medals, all-time hottest gray-haired gymnast to ever compete. This is still a fact.
Yep.
Yes, everybody knows that. So I want to do a tribute. Basically, the rest of the show is going to be a tribute to Uncle Tim, who has been with the show, one of the original GymCastic hosts, and has a PhD from I would call it even though the Ivy League all has to be on the East Coast.
Average, unfamous institution.
Right.
Yeah.
I have decided on a new name for him, which is he's a forensic historian of gymnastics.
Okay.
Okay. I feel like that's really accurate, right? Like he is going one by one, essentially tackling these gymnastics myths and being like, well, this is the commonly held belief. Let's see if it's really true. Let's find out. And he is uncovering amazing things. So let's talk about number one, Olga Korbut. Olga Korbut, the first myth about Olga Korbut, and we can watch a video of this, is that she was the first to do a back tuck on beam at an Olympic Games. But actually, the truth is, and we're watching this skill, Nancy Thies of the United States was the first to do a back tuck on beam because Nancy Thies of the US at the Munich Olympics, she competed earlier. Korbut competed a few hours later. So actually, Thies was the first to do it and not Olga Korbut. Olga Korbut had been doing the skill on beam for years, but we're saying Olympic Games and what was done first at Olympic Games and both.
Yeah.
Yeah. She didn't do it before Korbut, but at the Olympics. So the thing about it is nowadays, people do the same skill at the same meet, then they both get things named after them. We're not talking about eponymous skills, but in general, bars.
The Derwell-Fenton.
Derwell-Fenton, thank you very much. Yes. And which is much more fair because you don't get to pick when you go in the lineup. So,
right.
Should we attribute perfect 10s that way too? Nellie Kim would say yes, since she got a perfect 10.
But Nellie Kim would say she does not agree with the multi-naming because she gave the double tuck on floor to herself.
And not all the other people who did it?
On her same team, in the same lineup at the 1976 Olympics, doing a double tuck.
Oh, good times. So Korbut myth number 2, and I want to take a look again at Gymnastics-History, which is Dr. Eagleton, PhD's Olympic forensic history gymnastics website, which we hope he will be turning into a book very soon. So Olympic myth number 2, Korbut was the first to do a Korbut. So
this I did not know.
Yeah.
This is new information to me. So the Korbut Jessica is describing would be the swing down on beam or the splash down if you're some people. And that makes me uncomfortable as terminology. I don't like it.
The back handspring, then you roll down on your chest onto your crotch, fulfilling the perineum requirement on beam. So according to Dr. Uncle Tim's research, he found that a record in Modern Gymnast magazine that someone did a Korbut at the 1968 Olympics, but they don't name the gymnast. 1968. So if you are the gymnast who was mysteriously mentioned in Modern Gymnast magazine and you're listening to this or you know who it is, then get in touch. We can help you get it named after yourself and get history corrected because this is part of what the FIG is actually doing now. They are wanting to correct and name things after the right people. And so you can actually have it done. So who do you think it was?
Because this skill used to be the Korbut in the Code of Points and it's not anymore. Which would also make me think that someone tipped off the FIG and was like, she wasn't the first person to do this, but we still don't know who it was.
It was probably Mostepanova who's traveled back in time and was -7 fetuses and was doing it already. Okay. The other myth that is huge, and I have to say, thank God, Uncle Tim is finally getting credit for this far and wide outside of gymnastics circles, and this was even credited in a BBC article recently. So the Sydney vault myth. The myth that a mistake happened because the vault was set at the wrong height at the Sydney Olympics. And we remember watching all those gymnasts crash in Sydney. And then finally, Slater spoke up and they raised the vault because it was at the wrong height. So the myth is that it was at the wrong height. So that's true and false at the same time. So the theory that Dr. Uncle Tim discovered, which is probably 100% true, is that the vault was set exactly correct according to the apparatus norms. And he went back and has the pictures and the receipts, you guys, on his website, gymnastics-history.com, which shows exactly how the mistake was made. So basically, in 98, the vault height was raised from 120 centimeters, easy to say, centimeters, 10 centimeters. It's fine. Raised from 120 centimeters to 125 centimeters. The 2000 apparatus norms got printed, but they were printed wrong, you guys. The printed document was wrong. And remember, this was before email was super, super common and everything was electronic. Like 2000 was still your first using the internet days. Like you didn't do everything at school.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone used the internet, but it wasn't like every single paper you turned in at school or everything you did at work was 100% electronic. Like the paper was still the modus operandi generally.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm older than you, so I remember what it was like in 2000.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So then what happened?
It's not an excuse. This is not an effective excuse. They printed the wrong apparatus norms and then had to issue a correction to the apparatus norms. But at the 2000 Olympics, they had the original printing of the apparatus norms, not the corrected version.
Yeah, so they set them exactly with the documents that they had. So the truth
was the vault set wrong? Yes. Did they make a mistake in setting it up based on what they were given? No.
Right. That's the truth. And I think this is always the lesson of, even when I go to websites these days, I always look, when was this printed? Is this still current? Like, is there an update to it? And I think back in the day, it was like if and having been a professional legal researcher for 18 years, part of the thing was you look at what the law is and then you see if there's an update. And then if the update isn't in the back of the book, then you check online to see if there's an update, and you have to make sure you've checked for an update 50 million times. So is this an excuse for what happened? No, I still blame every single coach who didn't measure the vault and let their gymnast compete on the wrong height. And I really appreciate when I see coaches now measuring the shit out of every apparatus. Forward, side, tension, the height, checking everything. Like, honestly, because the real thing is the gymnast safety is in your hands. And so you need to check everything. So let that be a lesson. Some people just like to give us no strings attached money. They don't want to bother with joining Club Gym Nerd. And so they just donate. You can find our donate button for a no strings attached donation at the bottom of the club page at gymcastic.com/club. The other huge, gigantic myth busted. So do you remember how we all watched Gymnastics Greatest Stars? And it's the greatest, still you should get it and watch it because it's still the greatest gymnastics history VHS tape, which you can find on YouTube now of all time. True or false? Did you watch it on VHS?
No, I've only seen it on YouTube later.
Okay.
I didn't know about I wasn't like a gymnastics dork until adulthood.
Yeah, that's true. You weren't indoctrinated until just the right time. Okay, so the myth of the Mexico Olympic Games in gymnastics. The myth is that those commies cheated and changed the scores so the Soviets would win. That's the myth. As propagated by U.S. propaganda, because that was the height of Cold War. And
including this podcast, we should say, because we definitely told this story like 500 times, that they changed the scores so that Czechoslovakia of the Czechoslovakia and Petrick of the Soviet Union would tie. And then, Czechoslovakia could protest this corruption, protest the war, all still valid. The invasion protest, all wonderful, and we love. But turns out as far as we can tell, the adjustment of the score so that Czechoslovakia and Petrick would tie was correct. Was the correct thing because the prelim scores had been printed incorrectly. So this idea that they changed her score, they did not change Petrick's score, they corrected Petrick's score to what it should have been because the prelim scores had been printed incorrectly.
Yep. So the stopping the competition was, hey, wait a minute, these scores are wrong, they're actually tied. That's not the right, because back then the scores carried over. So they had to show, okay, the actual scores you have today is wrong. Here's what she was actually given. Okay, so they should tie. So that's a huge deal, too. And I mean, imagine if they were truncating at the same time. It could have been even worse. Ay, ay, ay. So, and one of the things that Uncle Tim found at gymnastics-history.com, this is a commercial for his website, and you guys should go there all the time, is that he found a news story from that time in the archives that explained exactly what happened. So it's not like this story wasn't out there. It just took someone like him who's actually trained as an archivist and a historian to do the research and find it. And it just goes to show how anyone can be a victim of propaganda, even if you're staunchly against it and think that you haven't been indoctrinated. It can happen to you. Is that the lesson you took away? That's the lesson I took away from this adventure.
No, that's not the lesson I took away. The lesson I took away was don't print the scores incorrectly.
You know what they need to have, like newspapers have the fact checker and the copy editor. You need a numbers
so cute
copy
that
editor.
You think newspapers still have fact checkers and copy editors?
This is why you guys should pay for your local news.
They got fired in 2001 when Nellie Kim removed all the schools from the code of points.
Yeah, support your local media, starting with us, obviously your niche favorite gymnastics podcast, and then your local newspaper. Okay, so the next myth is the one that I am most interested to see if will actually be corrected in the bigger culture outside of gymnastics. I think most gymnastics fans know this now, but are we going to get to the next Olympic Games and find out, or the next World Championships, and discover that this fact is actually fixed and the way people talk about it is corrected? So the myth is Simone Biles is the most decorated gymnast of all time. The truth is, Spencer.
Yeah. So, officially, I guess, in the records, we think of Simone Biles and Larisa Latynina as being tied on 32 combined world and Olympic medals apiece. Simone with way more world medals, because now they do worlds every year instead of once every 4 years. 25 world medals, 7 Olympic medals, putting her on 32. Larisa Latynina, 18 world medals, 14 Olympic medals, putting her on 32. Turns out Larisa Latynina also had an uncounted medal from the 1954 World Championships in the team portable apparatus event, which was basically the precursor to rhythmic. So it was a separate team competition from the team fixed apparatus medal, which is the team final that we know today. There was another team medal that she won in 1954 that has not been included in her total. So Latynina should be on 33 medals and Simone should be on 32 total combined world and Olympic medals.
So the truth is, Latynina was not credited with a world medal. And in fact, she has one more world medal than Simone Biles, which puts Latynina at 33. And I think this is why it's one of the important things to think about when you're looking at the historic documents and how the medals were counted. We just had this happen in NCAA too, is that things will change. They had more events they competed in back in the day. Just like men had more events too, because they had freaking rope climbing where you sit on the ground. That's how you start, and you climb a rope. And that, because, you think about all this stuff was based on military exercise, and that's how the competition sport of gymnastics started in the Western world. So you have to count things that maybe people don't have an opportunity to. And some people might think, well, this isn't fair because that's not even an event that people do. But the truth of it is, it was more work. They had more stuff to do. And Simone has had more world championships to compete in, whereas Latynina had to wait. So if you think about it that way, she might have had more events to compete in, but the actual opportunities to get a medal were way less than what Simone has had. And she competed 5 months pregnant. So that's the other impressive feat that she accomplished. So we were just watching a little bit of video of rope climb, and I have to tell a story about this. So so I used to put on adult gymnastics meets. Adult gymnastics, if you want proof that you could still do gymnastics after high school or whenever you stopped, go to an adult gymnastics meet. You will enjoy it so much, or go to an adult gymnastics class. It's amazing. So I used to put on these meets, and there was these guys who were in their 80s who showed up to compete in rope climb, and we added rope climb because people said they wanted it. They showed up in their old NCAA men's costumes, their outfits that they wore, costumes from the olden days, with suspenders, the whole deal. And they competed in rope climb. These guys were sitting down at 80-year-old men sitting on the floor. They were beating the 20-year-olds in the rope climb. So you have to climb all the way without using your legs. You have to touch the top. There's like a bell chalk thing at the top. It's like a metal thing. It looks like the things that you put on ropes to keep squirrels from climbing on them. It's one of those, but for humans. So you tap it and then you come down, and they were beating the 20-year-olds, these 80-year-old dudes. And one of them was like, the NCAA champion from however many years that was ago. It was amazing to see. So it also means that just because the event doesn't exist anymore, doesn't mean it's not badass and wasn't hard to do. And anything where you have to involve a bunch of team members, 1,000 times harder than working by yourself. Let's be honest. The most important skill in life, working with other people, because it's freaking hard. So, yeah.
I think when I was saying before, I think I said Latynina, I inverted which number was worlds and Olympic medals. Latynina has 18 Olympic medals and officially 14 worlds medals, but actually 15 worlds medals. I think I inverted which one was worlds and Olympics. So what I'm saying is, don't send us any emails, because I know.
Yeah, 15 world medals, because she had 14 officially credited. The 15th is what was the event that doesn't exist anymore that Uncle Tim found she was not credited with. Like, we just had this happen in NCAAs where we thought that Hope Spivey only had, looking at the 10 record, we thought that Hope Spivey only had 20-something 10s.
She had 27.
Because people weren't counting 10s in the postseason. So she had gotten 10s at NCAA championships that weren't counted. And so the total number was actually wrong. So qualifiers important. So do you think, let's just say maybe perhaps Simone Biles comes back to competition, that she's not just working out for fun. Do you think that the rights holders who are broadcasting her competitions around the world will start with, well, it's no wonder she came back, because it turns out she has one more world or Olympic medal to win in order to tie Larisa Latynina?
No, they will not. They will not do that.
What about the BBC broadcast?
Well, I don't know.
Foreign broadcasts that aren't American. What about the Soviets can't. The Russian broadcast.
Will they broadcast if the Russian team is not allowed to compete? I feel like they'll just be like, this is not an event.
Will they take credit for the people that defected and then are competing still? I don't know.
Well, time will tell.
No, they'll pretend like it's not happening.
No, I don't think that's going to be a big deal, because already, even generally, I think the assumption is that Biles and Latynina are tied. So that would be their storyline anyway. She needs just one more medal, even though she actually needs two to set the record herself.
Isn't there enough? I mean, this should be. This is the thing. Who's the official record holder? Obviously, it's us. But is it the FIG? Is it the IOC who holds these records? Is it an independent body like the Guinness Book of World Records? Do we trust the Guinnesses?
Should we be an independent body?
We are.
The record-keeping body? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should start that, and up next, our official, and then we can have awards.
Jessica already has immediately goes to award show.
You guys, see how excited I am about awards. I want them all to look like, what was that Euros where it was just like a hand, like it was just a fist in a rock, but it was actually supposed to be like a ring, someone holding a ring pommel. Is it a pommel when it's on a ring, or is it a ring? It's a ring.
There is that one of someone holding just a partial ring, and it looks like they're holding a hot dog.
Curvy hot dog. That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my favorite one. It looks like they cast someone's hand in like carbonite, like they do in Star Wars. It looks like, anyway, I enjoy that one very much because it just looks like extremely heavy rock that you could beat someone with if you needed to. And that's the other thing. Also, can you guys, when we're speaking of awards, don't bite the bronze or silver medal, you guys. It's gold that is malleable, that you're supposed to be able to bite it to see that if it's real gold, not silver or bronze. Oh, did these kids not grow up in a state that had the gold rush? This is a basic gold fact. How does everyone? I'm so embarrassed for them when they bite the silver medal. I'm like, oh dear.
It's no longer to check to see if you're leaving tooth marks. It's because it's a pose.
I'm waiting for the nerd who's like, I'm not doing that because that's not a thing.
Well, then wait for Steven Nedorosik to win a silver or bronze medal at a World Championships, because I feel like he would do that. He'd be
Also,
like, actually,
I know they're not
right.
I know they're not really like biting. They just pretend to bite it. But also, these have like electronics in them now. You can't be biting into things with electricity in them. You know, like they had the light up ones in Stuttgart, and then there's another one that we just had like a spinny thing in it. Was that Euros? I do want to mention that there are other myths that we've busted in our other 3 episodes, and there are more details about some of the other things we didn't get into. Like we have did the tampon fall out during a routine story, and we have some of the broken apparatus stories over the years and all that kind of stuff. So important other myths are busted in those episodes. So if you want more details on those, please visit those 3 episodes. They will be in the show notes, or you can look up MythBusters on our website or any of the GymCastic podcasts in the past, and you will find those.
If you find any other updates we should add or have topics for our next MythBusters episode, Gymnastics MythBusters Part 5, The Reckoning, send them to gymcastic@gmail.com. We'll see you for College and Cocktails, the premiere, after Minnesota, Iowa at Utah on ESPN+. That'll be Friday, January 2nd. We'll start post-meet around 8 p.m. Pacific, and that's our Cheers to 2026 Canadian Excellence, God Bless Heated Rivalry College and Cocktails 2026 season premiere. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Friday.